Hey NAI football fans, Cory Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBall Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Cory Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIFBall Podcast, and it's a special edition this week. We always want to make room for the flag champion, and, for the first time in NAIA history, a team has won 4 consecutive national championships, have brought home 4 consecutive red banners, and you guessed it, Ottawa of Kansas brings home another natty. So we bring back in Coach Liz Sowers. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good so far. Just trying to relax after that long week, but thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's always our pleasure to have you. It's another great year for Ottawa. Obviously, looking at the win-loss numbers, it's a little bit of a weird year for y'all. Let's take a look at it. You start fast. You come off with five consecutive wins that are honestly none of those are particularly close in KCAC play. Talk to me about your fast start and getting the band back together again.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of expectations, and every year the expectations grows. And so just meeting those expectations at the beginning is extremely important. But also just to start to get the feel for the season and start on that upward climb is important.
Then in the middle of your season, you make one of two trips to Georgia. The first one, is significantly, on paper at least, less successful than the second. Obviously, losses to 3 Sun Conference teams, and then a few games later, you do something you've not done yet, and that's a loss at Kansas Wesleyan. It's a little bit of a weird March for you almost. Talk to me about that, the oddity of the middle of your season, and kind of where y'all were at mentally during all of that.
Yeah, it's extremely important for me to make sure that we schedule, the best of the best within the tournament, within the season. And so going to Reinhardt, I knew that we were going to have 3 really tough games, and those teams maybe scheduled us, and then a few that might be easier competition. So I knew that they were kind of focused in on us, and the plan was to make it as close to a tournament like as possible. Didn't realize how bad we would struggle, but we did, and we learned a lot from that tournament. The KCAC loss, I think, just kind of shows the growth of the game. They have an amazing quarterback from Japan. I've known that that quarterback is extremely special in what she does, and their loss to Baker, for example, was not any telling of what they are as a team. And I knew that they would bring their Super Bowl game against us. And if they were catching on all cylinders, then they would be something scary. And that's what happened.
Then you do end up the back half, or the back portion of your season. You do get your revenge against Kansas Wesleyan there, the last game of the season, to clinch that KCAC title. But talk to me about finishing strong even through the KCAC tournament itself, where you notch that third win. You take best 2 out of 3 against K-Dub.
Yeah, I think the Georgia tournament started that real deep dive into what we needed to change and things that we needed to fix. And it kind of highlighted a lot of issues that we really needed to see, that we were not complete as a team, and there were changes that needed to be made. So we made those changes, then after Kansas Wesleyan lost, changes, on offense and defense. And those were the changes that we needed, to start to peak at the right time.
Then you go into the flag football finals. Obviously, it's a much more successful trip into Georgia this time around. Talk to me. Let's focus in on the St. Thomas game here real quick. It's really really tough. Obviously, you know it with your games against Midland and Kansas Wesleyan. It is super tough to play a team twice and win out twice. How much do you how much more do you have in the game plan for a second game against someone now that you've seen them and know how to do it, and at the same time defensively knowing that they've kind of seen you a little bit as well? What's the mindset on that?
I think the biggest thing is that they hadn't seen us. At the St. Thomas, that was when we were kind of in our first round of figuring things out, but we had changed a lot and we had fixed a lot since then. So we knew that they had not seen us. We had seen them at their best and they had not seen us. So we went in, with that mindset. We do know that every single year we've lost to the team that we've eventually beaten in the championship. And so losing to someone to us isn't really, it's just kind of par for the course. So we went in pretty confident knowing that that was not the same team that they were about to play.
You then have a day's worth of rest. I think that's I don't know that we've done it exactly that way in the flag finals before, but you get a day of rest, and it's a tight game against Warner. Um, Honestly, I thought Warner came with a good game plan against y'all and looked to take away some of what you were looking to do with getting the ball to Addy. You find a little bit of success switching to Mando at the center position and get a little bit better, but it felt like that Warner game really stretched you with what you wanted to do offensively.
Yeah, I think always that game, right before any sort of big game that you might be looking forward to can be a trap game of all kinds. And Warner being a team that we hadn't played all season, they had a lot of success early on in the season, and just a team that's experienced and brought a lot of pressure. And so, it was a close game, and we didn't play our best. But also, props to Warner for given us a hard fight, and we were we were lucky to make it out of that one.
And then obviously you get the rematch. You book in a 4-year championship. It ends up being perfectly parallel. Kaiser Thomas, Thomas Kaiser. It's kind of like poetry. It rhymes. Um, Talk to me about ending it the way you started it on this first 4-year iteration.
I think the storybook ending couldn't have ended any more perfect, being that Kaiser was that first team that we lost to originally in the first year and then beat in the championship, and so they became an early rival to us that we hadn't seen. And then when we did play them, they mercy ruled us in Georgia, and Katie and I were walking through the parking lot, and we won't forget that there were some Kaiser fans that heckled us a bit and said mercy rule. And so we just kind of looked back like, what? And we'll remember that. And we
I
did.
I have found that it is generally a poor decision to heckle people with long memories.
Yes,
Um,
that indeed.
and I mean that's you never. One of the things that I know about your team from year to year is that it has that long memory. It's short where it needs to be,
Mhm.
but where you want it to be long and remembering the pain, it is a long memory, and there is nothing that I as an opponent would want to do to stick something in your craw. That seems dangerous to me.
Yeah, and it's something about, I think, uh, March 16th. That was when 2 years ago we had a mercy rule by the worst loss in Ottawa history to Weber. And then this year we had, March 16th again, mercy rule. So it wasn't anything new. We've been there before. Um, and it's just something that, we can keep a receipt and pay back later.
Yeah, it's uh, kind of like your own Ides of March there almost. So
Yep.
going into this next season, I've always said, whether it's in the tackle game with new new teams that are entering year 5. Year 5 to me is always the put up or shut up year. Um, it's the year that kind of exposes if you've been doing the recruiting piece. It is, to me, it's easier to start a team and sell an initial team your vision than it is to sustain a level of success. So it's a little bit of a different offseason for you, obviously. We'll get to it in a minute. You've got a lot coming back off of a team that was good, which, you know, like I said, we'll get to it in a minute. But talk to me about the a little bit of a different offseason and having to slightly remake your roster a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just kind of having that not knowing whether seniors are going to come back, and with it being an emerging sport and the eligibility, you just never know who's actually going to come back. So that makes the recruiting process a little more blurry. And I knew that I wanted a roster that was slightly smaller because I'm, my sister and I are both coaches that really, um, we really want to have a good relationship with our players and we want to know them. And when you start to have too many people, it starts to get, extremely hard and emotionally and physically draining. And so I knew I wanted to have a smaller recruiting class, but at the same time, not knowing who's coming back is a huge thing. But we were able to find some really good players that are coming in that can fit right into the program, and without missing a step. And the plan is to go for 5, whether we have everyone back or not.
I mean, obviously, you've set the standard, and that's something that you hear on both sides of the sport, men's and women's, is that the standard is the standard, and obviously, when you've had the success that you've had, that is a very that is a very daunting standard to have to do every year. And props to y'all for getting your team to that place. Let's take a look at it, and obviously, guys, remember that it is, when we are recording this, it is May 17th, like a week ago. Yeah, literally. I was on my way back from Georgia at this time last week. Any of these guys that are seniors that I call out, you never know. Life might happen. But as it
Mhm.
stands on May 17th, Ottawa has a lot coming back. And that includes Madison Carrera, who, we'll see how the roster shakes out, and see where she goes. She might go here, there, everywhere. But, I mean, you've got Addison Orsborn, Cynthia Holmes, possibly Jazz Camacho, possibly Alyssa Linkus, uh, Sue Kaufman on your linebacker spot. Like I said before we started recording, here I was coming into this recording. I was going to be genuinely concerned about your wide receiver core. I have no reason to be concerned about your wide receiver core now. Talk to me about your returning offense and how you get them to climb the mountain for the 5th time, and to borrow a phrase, win one for the thumb.
Yeah, I think that just kind of setting that bar is something that's harder than what most people think, because when you can see something that you're chasing, you know exactly how hard you have to work or how fast you have to run. And when you are kind of in the front, it's a lot of props to my players and my athletes, because they just continue to work not knowing how far people are behind them. And that goes with the same thing with positions on the field. Whether or not we have those seniors coming back, we still have a really good group of players, so a lot of which have started in the past and then didn't start this season. So we have a lot of experience and a lot of talent, And, whether Madison plays quarterback or receiver, you never know, but it could add a twist to things, and it might be a different version of Ottawa, but Ottawa 2.0.
So on defense, you've got Sue Kaufman uh, coming back here. Possibly we'll see again May 17th. Jacani Washington was a great, really came into her own this year. Talia McInnes was a great player, really came into her own as a freshman. Marley played really, really well, obviously offense, but talk to me about a defense that, you seem to be able to find the pieces to fit the puzzle, um, and kind of pick what you need, put it in, and it seems to work. But talk to me about continuing to roll along on defense.
Yeah, I think, Caney uh, from Georgia had just recently started playing flag, and as the years go on, you can just tell. I mean, she hasn't even reached her limit, and this, she has so much talent and potential. And then having Cheese, we call Cheese McInnes, we call her Cheese. Having Cheese come in, she was going to be a receiver, but is just a dominant uh, defensive back for us, and just seeing her grow in that position. And then Cynthia moving over to defense really helped us. And I know she played offense and defense at Warner, but going from our one of our leading receivers to defense allowed her to really focus in on that spot. And I think that's what makes our defense so special, is because we aren't just this like cookie cutter defense where what you see is what you get. There's a lot more to it, and it involves studying and understanding who you're going up against. And that's one special thing about those one-way players, where Cynthia could play offense as well, for example, or Cheese could play offense as well. Having them specialized in that skill makes it just another level. And I expect that defense to be exactly the same next year.
So let's take a look. Let's kind of back out to our 30,000-foot view here. Obviously, the women's flag football is growing. I mean, I remember, I'm going to date myself a tad bit, 10, 12 years ago when I was, in college. Yes. Did Florida State have a women's flag football team? Absolutely. Still do. Was it a varsity sport? No. Is it a varsity sport now? No. Will it be a varsity sport in the future? Probably. But no one was out here going, oh my gosh, our flag football team. Flag football was something you played on the intramural field. And honestly, that's where I got my start on flag football was playing intramural. Fell in love with it. But as it grows, it's starting to morph, and it's going to continue morphing here. Obviously, we had at the flag finals, we had NCAA representatives. How does our NAIA continue to do well and continue to stand out if and when the NCAA comes online?
I think that just like any other sport, I think there is a huge desire to play flag football. And I think people are just now starting to realize that. And there is a need for different levels of flag football. And as it continues to grow, you'll see those different levels continue to kind of take form. But the NAIA and the NCAA together would allow a place for everyone that wants an opportunity to play. And right now there just isn't that opportunity just yet. And so the NAIA continuing to be that pioneer, allowing the game to grow. And who knows where it'll go. Hopefully there's some future Olympians within the NAIA right now.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Right now the NAI has been the cradle of women's flag football. It's been a place where it can really grow and shape at a collegiate level. How do you see the NAI game really informing and impacting the women's Olympic team?
I think that the college game is the pathway to the Olympic team, and you look at current Olympic stats. 80% of participants in the Olympics are tied to some collegiate sport, and I think that that's what makes you know USA something special, is that there is that athletic, college, academic, all packaged in one, that can allow student athletes to get their higher education and pursue sports all in one. And the NAIA working with USA football or whatever it might be to get those athletes to that point is exactly what we need, and allowing opportunity for that higher education at the same time.
Now, I'll give you a chance to throw out a hot take that won't get you in trouble, hopefully. Um, I've heard, or I heard, especially when the Los Angeles 2028 talk first broke. Oh, we'll just throw out all these NFL players and we'll be fine. Look, Tyreek Hill might be able to run a really good go route, but it is my opinion, we'll see if you agree, that you cannot just take a group of NFL players, drop them on a flag football field, and say go win gold. You're gonna have to pull from the AFFL and places like that, because it's a slightly different sport, and it's slightly different enough that it's actually going to matter.
I do agree. I do think that the one place that the NFL would have, a heads up, is that they do have players and athletes that are training all year round. Whereas right now, still even in the USA pool, a majority of those athletes have full-time jobs and are not training. And until USA football can get a place for these athletes to train full time, it's fair for everyone can get angry about NFL players thinking they can drop in, but when you have elite athletes that are training constantly, it's almost an unfair advantage for those that that have put in all the work for the flag football and don't have that year-round training, but college athletes do.
The one place where I could see where you might be able to plug and play, two places, I'll say, two places. One is defensive back. Um, as long as you don't get a guy who is a press corner, because obviously you can't lay hands, um, you might be able to find a couple that could drop in. But the other is quarterback. I think you might be able to find a quarterback. The route trees are similar enough. The concepts are going to be, I think, similar enough. But I think you might be able to pick a good quarterback as long as you've got a dual threat guy who's good in the air and on the ground. I think those are the two places where you might be able to cherry pick.
I agree. And as a coach, building your offense around the tools that you have is extremely important. And I do think that there are skills in a lot of different sports that you could probably pick from and make a phenomenal team. And it might not be, your classic flag football, what but I mean, the sky is the limit when it comes to the game. And, I don't think that what is already there is set in stone. Like, create your own stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's 4 years away. I'm still excited for it. Honestly, heck, at this point, I'm hoping that someone who knows someone that I'll just get a call from NBC here at some point and they'll ask me to call it.
That would be awesome.
That would rock. I mean, you talk about guys who have full-time jobs. I mean, that's me and Angelo. And that would be, I would be absolutely flabbergasted. So one of the worst things right now about the state of the sport that we're in is that right now, especially where we're at with the first full graduating class in last year, this year, next year, kind of that 3-year window where you're going to have most of that inaugural 2020 class graduate. There's nowhere for them to go right now. I I've heard rumors abound that the AFFL is looking to create a women's league. Um, Uh, honestly, I think that would be a great idea. It's professional softball is a thing, but they have to also work jobs, but also it's a place to keep having your skills. But pretend I'm the AFFL. Give me your elevator pitch on diversifying and why the AFFL should seriously consider adding the women's side.
I mean, flag is where it's at and it's growing, and it's exciting to watch women playing the game at this level is something that, a lot of people didn't think they could do, and they're proving a lot of people wrong. And, I would hope that the AFFL could pay players enough to make a living so that they do have somewhere to go and make that money. But, if they're looking to enter the career world of coaching, that now is the time to do that because colleges are adding on and looking for coaches all over the place.
That is the truth. When I spoke to the home office, the NAI home office last year in Augustish, they made no bones about the fact that they expected flag to be the first sport to be picked up by every NAI school, and to me that would rock. I mean, this is the organization that founded the big dance. The NIT was the NAI tournament. Um, these guys can run a big tournament if we need to. Um, but yeah, it's getting big, man. How cool is
It is.
that?
It is. And I hope that I have a bunch of future coaches on my roster right now because, the colleges that are opening up, they would be crazy not to look at them, for their head coaching job as quickly as that seems. Now's the time to get into that profession if they're wanting to.
I mean, that reminds me of the I think it was North Carolina. I want to say maybe women's soccer. You have to fact check me there, but where you had a player that went from having four years winning championships, and then like a year later comes back as the head
Was that
coach.
lacrosse or
It
field
might have been.
hockey or
It,
something?
I remember it was North Carolina, but I don't remember which
Yeah.
which one of the sports. But I remember that being a thing. Honestly, you could probably pull that off with flag now.
Yep. And they'd be crazy not to look for a female head coach, by the way, because NAIA championship tournament, I'm not sure the math or statistics on it, but even just in the championship games, it tends to lean towards the female head coaches are doing it right. So
That is a fair
throwing that out
statement.
there.
That is a fair statement. I'm just kind of running through in my head. I mean, right now Warner and Weber, Campbellsville, I think. Not sure about some of the other head coaching situations, but most of your top level head coaches here, whether it be Palmer or whether it be Sam Harris, obviously y'all with
Kansas
yeah,
Wesleyan.
K Dub has theirs.
Hmm.
Reinhardt, um, you know, that's that is where it's at, and it made sense originally for places like St. Thomas and Kaiser, um, to utilize, and even Kansas Wesleyan to utilize their football infrastructure to inform this. But now I think you can make that transition.
Yeah, I think you realize that, coaching is extremely exhausting. And even to think of someone coaching tackle and flag, you would have to assume they're human at some point and there's going to be more attention given to one. And flag deserves 100% attention, in my opinion.
Well, Coach, we are so looking forward to next year. It's we've got a long summer ahead of us for NAIF ball. Between now and late August, but my wife complains about it. Bless my wife. She is a saint. Um, because she gets 1 month. She gets me for January, and then it's right back into flag. But I'm ready for it again. It's going to be another great year. The game is growing. I'm looking forward to see who's going to add on and what kind of storylines we're going to have. And the road still runs through Ottawa, Kansas.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. Thanks also to our newest sponsor, Telemetry Sports. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the podcast and to our YouTube channel, and leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBall and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.